everyone, it's Sam from Reimagine by Sam, coming to you from pretty overcast average Geelong, Victoria. Just doing a video on how to create a layered stencil look with paint, chalk paint, and using the beautiful Aussie Decor transfers, the dry rub transfers. So just going to show a few different techniques in this video on how to achieve this look. Alright, stick around and we'll get stuck into it. Thanks very much for watching. I've got this beautiful stencil here from Aussie Decor transfers. I've been dying to use this on something. Look how massive this is. I don't even know if I can get that in the whole shot, but it's huge. I'll double check the name of this and put a link to, I can't remember what it's called, I'll double check, but I'm thinking, like, how pretty would that look maybe if I give that a go with the cream over the top. So let's give it a go. Let's see. I normally use a like a roller for a stencil like this, but I haven't got one here with me, so let's just see what happens with a brush. So I'm thinking, I don't know, this might be a bit tricky because it's not a flat surface. It might be biting off more than I can chew here, guys. It's so pretty. How beautiful does that look? I don't know if I just hold that down and paint how that's going to go. Should we just try and find out? Let's have a look. So what I'm going to do, let's just see. I'm testing this with you on camera. Normally when I'm doing a stencil or stripes, I've done a video on my YouTube channel with this technique for stripes, so if you haven't watched it, check it out. Is I'll go over with my base color so you don't get bleed through your stencil or your stripes. So I'm thinking to do that here. So I'm just going to try and, I'm just going to swap it around so it's facing me. So I'm thinking, let's give this a go and see how this works. So I'm going to grab some more of my olive and paint the olive straight over. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm willing to give it a go. It's going to be tricky because it's not flat. How am I going to do this? Hey, if it doesn't work, we can just paint over it. If you can hear screaming in the background, I do sincerely apologise. It's my neighbours, and she's deaf, so she can't hear that she's yelling. So I'm really sorry if you can hear that. It's not me going crazy at my children or anything. Maybe I just do, so it's sitting nice and flat in the center. So what I think I might do is just do the stencil, this center bit, and not do it on the outside. And maybe like fade it out or sand it around the edges to fade it towards the edges, if that makes sense. Hope I'm making sense here. Alright, I'm going to let that dry. Stick with me. I know this looks like madness at the moment, but I'm going to come back in with the cream just in the center where the stencil is sitting flat. So now that we've done the base color, when I put the cream over the top, technically it shouldn't bleed through the stencil. Fingers crossed. Alright, I'll come back when that's dry. Okay, the olive is nearly dry. It's not completely dry. It's nearly dry, so I'm just going to open my tin of cream and give it a good stir. Let's see how thick that is. It's beautiful. Look how thick that is. For chalk paint's gorgeous. So I'm just using the small round chalk brush. I am going to see what happens, because I'm thinking I don't mind if a bit of the olive mixes in with the cream. I'm going to try and hold it down and just do it mainly in the center. Let's just see what happens. If this doesn't work, I'm not going to be mad about it, because it's the beauty of paint. You can just paint straight over it again. So I'm just kind of holding a section of the stencil down as I'm doing it with my finger. I'm going to go over it with some sandpaper around the edges to try and fade it out towards the edges. So I'm not concerned about it being perfect. And we're getting a bit of the olive mixed in with the cream as we go, because it's not dry, which is fine because I'm just experimenting with colours. This is either going to look amazing or be a disaster. Like I said, we can paint over it again if I don't like it. So the theory of going over with your stencil, with the base colour on your stencil works to stop bleed through. Stop the second colour bleeding through where the stencil is, but you know, I'm kind of not sticking with that at the moment because I'm mixing the two colours. You get the idea. See what I'm doing there. Should we lift it up and have a look? See if this looks like a dog's breakfast or if it looks amazing. What do you think? So I did get a bit of bleed through around the edges where I didn't hold it down. But I think that looks pretty cool. What do you think? So just with your stencils, before you let them dry, wash them off. Otherwise it's really, really hard to get the paint off. So I'll go and wash this so I can use it again. Apart from that little bit of bleed through because I was impatient and didn't let the olive dry, I think that's really cool. So what I'm going to do, I need to let the paint dry. If I had have let the olive dry, it wouldn't have, that bleed through wouldn't have come through, but that's okay. It's not too bad. I like the cream mixed in with the olive too. It's made a really nice light olivey cream colour. So what I was thinking is to add in some transfers from one of the Aussie Decor transfer packs. I'll double check which pack this is from and put the link. But I really like these leaves, so I was thinking maybe I could do the leaves around the outside once I give that a bit of a light sand. See how it comes together. This is kind of what I normally do, guys, just have no direction with anything sometimes and just sort of run with it and see how it goes. So I'm going to let this dry and yeah, keep going with it and see what we come up with. When I layered, when I put down the olive and then put down the cream, obviously I'm building up layers of paint. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to paint another layer of olive over the whole thing, and then I'm going to sand it back, and where those layers of paint have built up, they will end up being like a raised pattern. So you'll see the cream coming through and you'll have the raised pattern of the stencil, and I think that'll be a more subtle sort of look that I'm going for. Like I said, I'm just experimenting and just trying a technique as we go. So I've just got my trusty round brush again and the olive. So let's paint another coat of olive straight over the top. You can kind of already see what I'm talking about. So can you see how you can still see the stencil there? Is that showing up? And then when we sand it back, you'll also see some of the cream, which I think is going to look really pretty. I love playing around and experimenting with different textiles and different techniques, and you know, just giving it a go, running with it. I could have got an artist brush out and fixed the little tiny bits of bleed that I did get, but I'd like to give this a go and see what it looks like. I'm already liking this. Okay, so I'm going to let the olive dry. When that olive's dry, I'm going to give it a very light sand with just a very fine grit sanding pad, and hopefully the bug in there. Hopefully the pattern of the stencil, which is raised up, will still come through, and a bit of the cream will come through, and I think that's going to look really pretty. Okay, we'll be back after I watch some paint dry. My paint is dry. I'm not sure how well that's showing up in camera, but can you see how you can just very subtly see the pattern of that stencil where it's raised? You can definitely see it more in person than I think you can see it there. It's actually really, really pretty. So it's a good technique on just how to get an easy way of getting a raised stencil. I could leave it like that, but I'm going to just get my very, very fine grit sandpaper. I think this is about 600 grit. I'm just going to start sanding, and you can see the sand where I'm sanding, it's showing more of that raised pattern, and also the cream is coming through, which means you're going to see the pattern even more. Oh, I really, really like this. This looks so cool. Sometimes when things don't work out how you originally planned, they come out even better. Loving that. Can you see that? How cool is that? So where I put the cream down originally and then I've painted over it again with the olive, the cream is starting to show through the pattern of the stencil. It's so subtle, but it's super pretty. And the harder I sand, the more cream will come through. I know it's a bit hard for you to see, but I'll hold it up when I'm finished. I'm still going to put the transfer on as well. This is super, super cute. And if you wanted to build up the thickness of the stencil, you could just do more and more layers of paint. Or you could use a raised stenciling medium too. Like to be honest, I probably would have done that if this is the look that I was originally going for. But because we're improvising, this is what we got. Just wipe some of it off. Can you see that? What do you think? I think that's super pretty. So it's just left the raised indentation of the pattern of the stencil. So it's very subtle, the cream coming through. I think that looks so pretty. I'm going to finish sanding this, and then I'm going to do the layout of the transfer around the edges. And I'm using Aussie Decor transfer, and they need to be sealed before you apply them. So I'm going to put a top coat on this and make sure my top coat's dry before I put my transfer on. Obviously you could do this and expose as much of the second colour or as little as you wanted, and you could also introduce more colours if you wanted to as well. That could be really cool, like introducing another green or, you know, a secondary colour. I actually really love that. Hope you can see it. Right, I'm just going to grab my brush and put on the top coat. Okay, so I'm using a water-based top coat. Excuse me. So I've sanded that, and then I've cleaned it really well, got rid of all of the dust from the sanding. If you're applying a transfer, don't use a wax to seal your piece. Use a water-based top coat to apply your transfer on top of. I'm just going to put my top coat down, let that dry, and then I'll be ready to put my beautiful transfer on, and then you seal it again. When you're sealing it again, if you want to, you can use a wax, or again you can come in with another top coat. So you just need one coat to seal it, so the transfer has a smooth surface to adhere to. So I'm going to let my top coat dry. Sorry if it's a bit hard to hear me, it's raining really heavily here at the moment. Alright, so my top coat's on. I'll let that dry, and then we're ready for the transfer. Okay, so the top coat's dry on my tray. Really happy with how that stencil turned out. So I'm going to use a transfer sheet from the beautiful Aussie Decor transfer Australian Wildflowers II Protea pack. So you get all of these beautiful images in the whole pack. There's lots and lots of images you get there. I've already used some of them. I used this one and this one on my TV unit, and I'm going to use this sheet today with the leaves around the edges of my tray. So these transfer packs are such good value because you get so many different individual images in them, and you can just use them in multiple different ways. You don't have to use all of them together, or you can overlay them, or like this you can use them with different mediums, with stencils and re-stenciling. So let's get stuck in. So you need to apply your top coat first to your painted or timber surface, so it has something smooth, your transfer has something smooth to adhere to. So this is the pack, these are the sheet that I'm using today out of that transfer pack. So I'm going to cut them up so I can work out where I'd like to place them. So they come on, the image is attached to this clear film on the top, and then there's like a baking paper film at the back. So you want to keep the two attached until you work out where you want to place them. Make sure your top coat is properly dry. Now in your pack you get some applicator tools. I can't for the life of me find mine, so I'm just using a little popsicle stick, but in the pack you get like a big popsicle stick and a yellow applicator tool. I don't know what I've done with mine. popsicle stick will work fine. So if you've never done transfers before, they're super easy and fun. It's a great way to add extra details to your piece, and they're so versatile. So I'm just cutting all of my images up so I can work out where I'd like to place them. So I think I'm going to place them kind of, you know, around the edges like that. I think that's going to look really cute. So the two pieces aren't attached. Can you see that? But you don't want this to stick to your piece until you're ready to actually stick it down. So try and keep the two pieces together until you work out where you want your image. So once it attaches to your piece, you really can't get it back off. Made that mistake before. Alright, so I think I'm roughly happy with that sort of layout. So once you're happy with the placement of where you want your little image, you take your baking paper off. So you've got your image here on the film. You place it exactly where you want it to go. Once you've got it down, I'll spin you around a bit so you can see. Once you've got it exactly where you want it to go, you grab your little popsicle stick and you start rubbing the image onto your surface. So don't need to apply fairly firm pressure, but don't dig or gouge at it. Just rub it nice and smoothly. You'll actually see the image sort of stick to your surface and start to lift away from this plastic film. And if you want to check that it's all stuck, you can just start to carefully lift it up. If any piece of your image is still stuck to the plastic film, just pop the film back down and keep rubbing. So you want to thoroughly rub over the whole image, make sure it's all stuck down nice and easily, and then your plastic film will come away and your image is completely adhered to your surface. How cute is that? So I'm going to keep going with all of my images. And realistically, this, apart from waiting for my paint to dry, this project has not taken me long at all. It's a simple, cute little project. It was lots of fun. Started out with an idea in my head and we've gone a bit of a different direction, but I'm having fun with it, so that's the main thing. And that's looking really cute. Loving this. So once we've got all of the transfer down, you need to seal it again with a top coat, or you can use a wax over the top of your transfer. Can't use a wax underneath, but you can use it on top, so just be careful with that. So hopefully you can see just how easy this is, how easy these transfers are to use. They're so awesome, so much fun. I love using transfers on pieces, and I love how many images you get with Aussie Decor transfers. They're just such good value for money. So far I've used this Wildflowers pack on my TV unit. I also made some really beautiful prints using the flowers and put them in a frame. And now I'm using on this tray, and I still have several images left out of this pack. So it's really great value for money. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera there. Alright, I won't, oh, the sun's coming up. Hope you can see the sun glaring straight into the camera. Alright, I won't bore you with all of putting on all of these transfers. I'll do the next 3 and then I'll show you the finished piece once I'm done. Okay, so I've applied the transfer the whole way around. I think that looks really cute. So ready to apply, to seal it with top coat or wax. I actually think I'm going to use wax to seal it. But just before I seal it, what we need to do is burnish the edges of the transfer. So just need to go around all of the edges of the transfer with your finger or a soft cloth and just make sure they're all properly stuck down and there's no little bits of transfer sticking up or no bubbles. You want to make sure that it's all properly stuck down on your piece before you apply your top coat. Otherwise the top coat might get underneath the transfer and cause bubbles or cause it to lift. So just go around all the edges and make sure your transfer's burnished. That's using a microfiber cloth. Just be really gentle. You don't want to rub any of your transfer off if it's not stuck down properly. Alright, once you're satisfied that all of your transfer is stuck down properly, you can go ahead and seal it. So you can use a top coat, but I'm going to use a wax just to add, you know, a different look to the top of it. I'm going to use a white wax. Like I said, you can use a, just go ahead and use another top coat again. I just thought white wax might look nice, so I'm just going to apply my wax right over the top. You could use anything you wanted, really, like a black wax, clear wax, water-based top coat, but you definitely need to seal it just for that layer of extra protection so your transfer doesn't scratch off. Or given that this is just a serving tray, I'm just going to do one coat, but if it was a high traffic area, I'd do multiple coats for extra protection. Oh, the sun's coming out now. Sorry if you can't really see very well. The sun's coming out right into the camera. There was no sun before at all, and now it's glaring directly into the camera. Hopefully you can see that. So I've just put a layer of wax on there. I'm just going to let that sit for 5 minutes and buff it off, and we'll be finished. Okay, so I'm just going to buff off my wax. Just use a lint-free cloth to buff it off. go. It's all done. How cute is that? So I hope you enjoyed the re-stenciling. Let me know if you give it a go. Thanks very much for watching the video, and please be sure to subscribe to see more videos. Thanks very much.